All right, let's talk LSU Tigers football here for a little bit. Look, it's been a really good offseason all around for Coach Kelly and LSU. They made a number of big-time moves, both with the 2024 season and the out years, the future in mind. And to that credit, the LSU Tigers just made another massive recruiting move. Let's pull up the report, and we'll talk about it more in detail on the other side. This is courtesy of 24/7 Sports. LSU and Brad Davis continue to do major work on the offensive line as the Tigers picked up a commitment from four-star offensive lineman Carius Kern. Kern announced his commitment to Brad Davis and company as the nation's number 11 ranked offensive tackle and number 109 overall player. He joins an offensive line hold that is off to a fantastic start under Davis in this cycle, including Louisiana's Devin Harper and Brett Bordelon, as well as the number 12 offensive tackle in the country, Tyler Miller, out of Laurel, Mississippi. All right, LSU's been known for their playmakers on offense and defense over the past couple seasons, but the reality is they're building a beast of a team in the trenches right now. It's a great sign for the future. Mize, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this, but first, LSU fans, in the comment section below, we're talking tackles, offensive tackles with the LSU Tigers. Who is the best one in program history? There's a lot of really great names at the top of the list, but you can only pick one. Who is the best LSU Tigers offensive tackle in program history? And put it in the comment section below. But Mize, what are your thoughts on this literally massive recruiting move here by LSU?
Yeah, Nick, I think this is big for LSU because this shows that Coach Kelly is really shifting his focus. This 2025 class at the offensive line has been huge for LSU. LSU in the past has always had the top tier playmakers on offense, the best running backs, the best receivers, even some really good tight ends, of course, the best quarterbacks. But this offensive line, I think the level of skill players they produce outmatches some of the offensive linemen they produce as well. I'm not saying there's bad offensive linemen. I just say they have some of the best skill position players in all of college football. Not necessarily as good in that front when it comes to offensive line, but you can totally tell that Coach Kelly has shifted focus with this recruiting class by the number of guys he has already picked out and the caliber of guys he has already gotten. You see, there's interior offensive lineman Devin Harper from Shreveport, Louisiana. This guy, really big recruit as well, a 93 grade 4-star interior offensive lineman. Of course, we're talking about Kern, who's a 91 graded 4-star offensive tackle. Then, on top of that, you have Tyler Miller from Laurel, Mississippi, 90 graded 4-star interior offensive line, and then shore that up with a little bit less known, but I think a really great player as well, Brett Bordelon from New Orleans, Louisiana, an 88 graded 3-star player. I think having 4 really highly rated, really good offensive linemen in one 2025 class really shows the dedication that Coach Kelly has now to recruiting the trenches, really getting a boost, because I think we've talked about this a lot this offseason. There's a shakeup in the SEC. I think there's a lot of open spots for who could be the top dog. Georgia lost a lot of guys. Alabama lost a lot of guys and a head coach. I think the top dog of the SEC is a little bit vulnerable right now. I think LSU has always been that team lurking back, ready to pounce and being able to take over. And I think showing how Coach Kelly is recruiting, getting this coaching or this offensive line built for the future, talking about 2025 here, it's showing that he has shifted focus to try to build a powerhouse in the SEC for the future.
You know, one of the many moves that Brian Kelly has made that raised a few eyebrows by some people at the time was the retention of Brad Davis, who was the interim head coach, offensive line in the prior regime. And Coach Kelly, when he was at Notre Dame, obviously he had his own staff. A lot of them stayed in South Bend, but he recruited and built a lot of great offensive linemen, a lot of great offensive lines, and developed a lot of great offensive linemen as well at the University of Notre Dame. So when Brad Davis was kept on as the offensive line coach, obviously Davis from Louisiana, I believe he's from Baton Rouge, so he does have that recruiting connection there. A lot of people were a little like, that's kind of an interesting move as Coach Kelly tries to completely retool this team. Turns out that move was just a master stroke because Davis has done a great job this offseason recruiting and looks like he will continue to do so in the future. Because when you look at Kern, and look, when it comes to these top prospects, these top 100, top 150 prospects, when I pull on their highlight film, I want to see two things. One, are you a special physical athlete? Are you big, strong, faster than everybody else on the high school field? And number two, do you just bully these poor kids that you're playing against? And you look at Kern's film, and he checks both of those boxes. I mean, he's a two-way player, offense, defense, and he absolutely humiliates these guys. He's able to throw them to the ground like it's nothing. He absolutely pile drives opposing defensive linemen, linebackers. He played defense and just collapsed the pocket routinely. If you look at his film, I mean, he's everything you want in a highlight film prospect coming out of high school. If you're looking at a top 100 recruit, and he has a great physical tool set as well. So Kern's going to be a really good player. Obviously, it's going to take some time in coaching to develop the skills necessary to be an SEC offensive lineman. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen in a day. But Kern certainly checks all the boxes that are needed for him to become that kind of player. And I think it just goes back to what Coach Kelly did with Coach Davis, keeping him on board, trusting him, focusing on building the offensive line like you alluded to, right? Retooling an offensive line, that's not something that happens in one recruiting class or two, right? You can kind of rebuild a receiver room like that. Offensive lineman takes years. It sometimes takes as much as a half decade to really get it right, and it looks like the LSU Tigers are finally trending in that direction.